It's my favorite topic today, Sephora. We are going to be talking about 20 new makeup items that have launched at Sephora and my thoughts on them. Now, I got these items from the Sephora new arrivals page, which I've noticed is a little biased. I feel like certain brands might pay or something to have their products at the top because some of them are not really new, and then also there's new items that aren't on the new page. Just found that very interesting. But I pulled 20 of the items that I had that were on the new arrivals page / items that I just knew were new, and I put them in this video. Now, some of these are my first impressions, and I will disclose with you which ones are my first impressions, but also a lot of these are products that I've been testing for a while. If I had them, maybe I had bought them or gotten them in a PR package and I hadn't tried them yet, I grabbed them if I saw that they were new. Okay, let's just go ahead and get into it. First, we're going to start off with prep. So Laneige launched 2 new lip sleeping masks, which if you're familiar with me at all, every Sephora discount day, every Sephora savings event, I purchase at least one of these because they often come out with seasonal flavors. And so the one that really got me was this pink lemonade. It's a swirl for me. I needed a piece of that, but they also have mango. I have not yet tried mango, but I did go to an event where they were launching these two. They both smell great. I used the pink lemonade today. I love these. I always put these on before I go to bed. It's part of my night routine. I really do feel like they add a nice hydration to the lips. I'm always repurchasing these, like I said, and I love this new flavor, and I just think this cute little swirly twirly in there just added a whole new element. So I'm loving this one in particular. Next up, this one I think is gonna be hot. This is from Drunk Elephant. They launched these new Be Goldy Bright Drops because the bronzing drops were super viral on TikTok, and I never really got into those. So I tried this today. I mixed it with a little bit of my Makeup Forever Hydrating Primer because you are supposed to mix the bronzing one with another product, and it was very sheer, very natural, and quite pretty if you ask me. But I just wanted to try it on its own, and I put it directly on my skin, and it was a little bit more metallic that way. It really wasn't bad, but I felt like it had much more of a natural, creamy look when mixed with another product. And if you look at the suggested use on the back, they do say to add a drop of any Drunk Elephant serum or oil or cream to get that look. So definitely mix it in with something that's going to hydrate the skin, but it does add a pretty glow. I definitely need to use this more because this is one of the products that today was actually my first impressions. So my thoughts are not final on this, but definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel because all of my final thoughts go in my speed reviews video. So even if today's the first day that I tried a product, you will hear about me using these again after I've tested them with more products in my speed review series. So make sure you get subscribed because I never miss an item. It might take me a while to feature it, but I want to make sure I have my thorough opinion on each product before I talk about it. Okay, next product from Hourglass is the Hydrating Skin Tint. Loving this. Very, very, very sheer. Gives a nice glowy look. I think it wears pretty well. I like mixing it with a lighter coverage concealer that I'm going to talk about next, and I feel like it does give a nice light coverage, and the concealer does help to add a little bit of coverage in the areas that I might need some more that this doesn't give, but this makes my skin look juicy, and I feel like it wears really well. This to me is the perfect definition of a skin tint because it truly is a tint. It gives a little bit of Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer vibes. I feel like it has a little bit more hydration than the Laura Mercier. Something about it is a little bit more dewy to the skin than the Laura Mercier, but really beautiful. I've been reaching for this all summer. It's been perfect for the Miami heat. I used to talk about how in the summer I liked wearing fuller coverage products. That was before I moved to Miami. Now I can't. I cannot bear it with the amount of sweat that my face produces. So I have been loving this, but just know you're not going to get a lot of coverage, but it really does make you glow and hydrated, and it's very lightweight for the summer. Set with powder though, so you don't look too shiny. And then the concealer that I like to pair it with is the new Makeup Forever HD Skin. Oh my gosh, I've been using these non-stop. Now these are a lighter coverage concealer, but it gives me just enough, and if I want a little bit of extra coverage, I'll maybe mix in a fuller coverage concealer right where the blue of my eyes are, or even just a color corrector works fine for me. And this is perfect to pair with the popular skin tints and tinted moisturizers because it doesn't look like too much coverage. You know, I find that sometimes if you put a fuller coverage concealer with a lighter coverage tinted moisturizer or skin tint, it looks off. It's too much of a difference in the coverages. This is perfect to complete that lighter coverage look. It makes the under eyes look quite hydrated. It does have a little bit of a glow to it, but as soon as I set with powder, which I always do, it looks fine. You can get away without setting this. However, it is going to take a couple zhuzhups throughout the day because it does travel. It is a more wet formula, but I really love this. Just don't purchase this expecting full coverage because you are gonna get far from that. And it does have that more glowy look to it, so it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I like it a lot. Okay, so here are the older products that I was surprised were on the website, but I thought I'd talk about it because they are new arrivals at Sephora. From Pat McGrath, we have the Color Balms. I've talked about this multiple times before, so I'm not going to go too into detail, but basically, these are one of the best color balms that I've ever used. However, they are still a balm, and balms are not my cup of tea because they just sit a little bit heavier on the skin. They feel a little bit stickier because they don't dry down because they are a balm. But on the contrary, you know, they keep the cheek really hydrated. They give that really dewy look. If you like no powder and lots of glow, you will enjoy this if you don't mind a balm formulation. So really nice job with the formula, but just not a formula that I prefer because I need a bit of a dry down just for the climate that I live in. But like in the winter in like Maryland, I would have loved those. And then also, I'm actually surprised that this made this to the Sephora website. This is the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetish Extreme Highlighter and Balm Duo in Cyber Lotus. So you do get a clear balm on one side, and then you get this glitter balm on the other side. It's not bad if you know what you're in for. It's a good quality product, but it is just too glittery. And that was my mistake from purchasing it, but I was too curious, okay? It's a very glittery balm. I'm not going anywhere where I need this, so this was a waste of money for me. Oh, it just got mad at me. A waste of money for me, but you might like it. I don't know. I don't really recommend it. I think it's overpriced for what it is. Okay, so this next product is a first timer for me. I got the PR package yesterday, and so I was stoked to have an excuse to apply it. So Bare Minerals launched these highlighting blushes. I got 5 shades sent to me. They all are quite light. So if you have a medium skin tone, just medium or up, take the word blush out of it, because these are just highlighters, at least with the shades that they sent me. The deepest shade that at least I was sent, maybe there are more in the range, but I'm assuming there's not. Mauve Glow has a little bit more depth. I started off with Pink Glow on my cheek, and then I'm glad I had the Pat McGrath Color Balm underneath because that held a little bit of color, because Pink Glow didn't have that much color. And then as an actual highlight, I went in with Opal Glow. So as a blush, I feel like the finish is quite metallic. To me, these function more as a highlight rather than a blush. They could be good for layering. I think that's how I would see fit to the shades that aren't light enough to be a highlighter on me. So I like these for kind of bridging in between blush to highlight to kind of have that medium. And it does add a pretty glow to the cheek, but it is a touch more metallic than I would prefer. And I found Opal Glow as a highlight was really pretty and soft. These have a super buttery feel to them. Yeah, I mean, highlighting blushes is not how I would use these. Layering / as actual highlighters is the way to go. They have a really, I just love the feel of them, but I wish they had more pigments and maybe a hint less metallicness so it could truly be like a highlighting blush rather than just a highlighter. But still, a beautiful formula when you get the expectations out of your head. So it was only my first time trying these. I'll continue to use these and will update you, but I like them so far. And then I have a blush from Givenchy. This is the Prisme Libre blush in number 1. Now, my biggest mistake, I feel like I should have ordered a deeper shade, but I was just so excited to see this blue-based pink. It just, Barbie, you know, it called to me. So it takes a bit of layering it up, and I wouldn't say that this is the most flattering shade on me, but that was personal, my fault. Other than that, the formula is really soft. I don't love this packaging though. I thought I did, but I had to really shake it to get enough product out. Now there's too much. I just find it a little bit hard to control. It's an easy fix, right? It just takes an extra second to shake it out into the cap, whatever. It's not that hard, but it was a stressor of mine. I'm just telling you. Anyways, the formula is really soft and buttery. I'm not as big of a fan of loose blushes in general, but I love the formula, and I actually am interested in trying other colors because I think I will have a much better experience with other colors. And then the Too Faced Cosmic Crush collection came to Sephora, and I just need to let you know, I did a full review on this already. The Moon Crush highlighters are delicious. They blend into the skin like butter. They don't emphasize texture badly, for as much as, you know, highlights do emphasize, they highlight texture, but this one it keeps it at a minimum. It's also quite buttery smooth. Honestly, a similar texture to the Bare Minerals. Love this highlight. This is one of the best highlights that Too Faced has ever launched. One of the best new highlights that has launched. Definitely recommend this. Also in the collection came the Cosmic Crush palette, which I'm not as enthusiastic about. It's fine. It's a good palette. I actually quite like the way that this is laid out. I think it makes it very easy to create looks, just the way that the color families are together here. The quality, it's not the worst that Too Faced has ever done, honestly. I had a good time. I was able to make these work. I just would not recommend purchasing this full price. It's one of the palettes that I have an inkling that eventually it's going to be 50% off, and that's when it's going to be worth it because the quality does not knock my socks off. But if you like the color story, it'll work out for you. But knowing Too Faced, knowing how often things from their brand go on sale, especially limited edition items like these, you could probably hold off. Honestly, you could probably hold off on the highlight, but at least I feel more justified in paying full price for the highlight because I love it. Don't love this palette, but it's fine. Rare Beauty. Rare Beauty launched a line of new eyebrow pencils. These are the Brow Harmony crayons. Love that they have the shade Cool Brown. And this is a redo, a relaunch, reformulation of her original eyebrow pencil, which if that eyebrow pencil had one hater, it was me. And if there's no haters for that, I'm dead. That kind of situation. But they got the message. They got rid of that. And they got this one in place of that. And I like this a lot better. So not a hater for this one. I would say the tip maybe like a little bit bigger than normally what I prefer. I like mine precise. And a hint creamier than I prefer. I like a bone dry eyebrow pencil. But other than that, it's so much better than the first one. I absolutely can make it work. It's a nice one. It's the kind of thing where after I use this up, I'm not going to repurchase it just because there's so many other brow pencils out there that are also great, but I will gladly use this until it is used up. I'm not offended by it at all. And then also, they launched some Weightless eyeshadow sticks. I only picked up one shade, and I haven't used it yet. So, by the way, the eyebrow pencil, this was only my my third time using it. Have not used this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. The range of colors looked really pretty. Only has a 6-month shelf life. That's a little low, but I picked up the shade Well-Being because it's like a nice, light, kind of icy pink. So this is going to be great to highlight, to just brighten the eyelid. It's a nice little versatile color. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. I only have 2 eyeballs, so I couldn't put this on today. And then lastly, not a new item at all, but they're on the new arrivals page at Sephora, so I thought I'd give my 2 cents about these Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes liquid eyeshadows. First of all, my opinion, a little overpriced for what they are, but they are very nice. Now, when these first launched, I was disappointed by these because I wanted them to give me oomph, you know? Pat McGrath, back in the day, the brand was known for artistry, glimmers. Her packaging literally was sold to us with sequins inside. This doesn't give me a brand that used to sell their items with sequins inside. These have a nice powdered dry down and they last forever. So formula wise, these are actually really, really nice. They just weren't what I wanted. But if you like the colors, you like the finish, you want a nice long wear eyeshadow, I do recommend these, especially for mature lids, because sometimes with liquid eyeshadows on mature lids, they can dry up and almost look really crepey and separate and get flaky. You're not going to get that with these because they have that nice lightweight powder dry down that these have. So really great for mature eyelids. And then eyeshadow palette. So the McGrath Lab Sunlit Seduction did come to Sephora. I did do a full review of this if you're interested. It is the eyeshadow that I'm wearing today. It's quite pretty, is it not? So I started off with the shade right here all over my crease, and then I also did run it along my lower lash line. And then I took a small brush of this dark shade and I focused it only along my lower lash line. And then I stopped there. We're going to come back to it. Used my finger and took this shade, which is absolutely stunning, all over the eyelid. Took a little bit of this shade right here and used it to highlight the inner corner of my eye and the brow bone. And then to finish off, I did use the darkest shade again, which worked brilliantly as my winged liner today. It's not that it's a bad palette. It's just that we have this palette a lot from McGrath. It is nothing unique, but there is a dud shade actually. For it being the price point that it is, this guy, super patchy and flaky. The first time there's like really been a true dud in a mothership palette. As a collector, not exciting. And I think you can't get a lot of variety in the looks with this. From what I've seen, all of everybody's looks has kind of looked the same more or less because it is such a monotoned palette. So it's not the palette that I would recommend if you were going to purchase Pat McGrath. Take from that what you will. Check out my review. I'm not enthusiastic about it. But at the end of the day, like, I love the eyeshadow look that I got with it. So if you like pinks, maybe put this on your radar. Okay, and then I have two new mascaras that have launched. So I started off with the brand new Benefit Fan Fast mascara. Put it on this eye to start us off. Oh my gosh, I actually had a very good first impressions with this. Mascaras take some time to test because they change as more air enters the formula, but on first impressions, I thought it did a good job with separating, added a good bit of length, a little bit of volume up in there. I liked it, but we'll see. And then on the other eye, I wanted to test the power of this Too Faced Better Than Sex Foreplay mascara. It is not a mascara, excuse me, a lash primer. But I got confused at first because it's a black lash primers and most lash primers are white, but I actually really appreciate that it's black. And honestly, I felt like it could have just been a mascara. It looked pretty good, but I did pop this on and then I popped the Benefit Fan Fast mascara over top. And this eye did look significantly thicker. So it worked. We'll see what I think about it as I continue on using it because both of these were first impressions today. But I do think that the primer, it does have some growth stuff in here, right? Nourishing blend of argan and grapeseed oils, rich in omega-3 and 9 fatty acids. And it said you can wear it alone when you're keeping things casual. So I liked both of these, but 'tis early. And then I also tried out today for the first time the Velour, and I've never used a product like this, Glue and Go Pen. So basically it's just a lash glue in a pen, and I can see this getting quite nasty because I did use a eyeshadow liner and it got the tip all kind of not nice looking. But you know what, I was surprised. It took no wait time at all. I just ran it across my lash line and the lashes really did stick. And I haven't worn this all day, so I can't speak on the longevity, but it was super easy and no wait time. But I do find with products like this, they just dry out really, really quickly. They just don't last long. So they might be good in the very beginning, but they dry out so fast. So the recommendation is to keep it stored upright, vertically like this, with the cap facing down. That's supposed to help reduce it drying. So we will see. If this only lasts me a few uses, I'm out, and I'll keep you updated on that. But so far, I have enjoyed it. So I'm putting it in my brush cup to keep it stored. Good. Okay, and so these also, this is the last first impression. But Lawless just launched a whole lipstick collection, right? A bunch of lip liners, a bunch of lipsticks. So I got my toes wet with the first application today. And keep in mind, I know a lot of these are first impressions, but the point of this video is just to show you what's new and what's out there and give you a review if, you know, I so desire, if I have it. So I started off with the shade Pink Sand as my lip liner. I love it. It's a wood tipped lip liner, which is my favorite type, but it still applies quite creamy. And from what I'm gathering, looking at these shades, they're all very beautiful, very wearable, very much in my realm of colors that I like. What shade is this? Nude Honey. Ooh, a lot of you guys are gonna like it. It has a little bit of cool taupiness in there. So I really like the color range on this, and it applied creamy. So far so good. And then for the actual lip color, I went with the lightest one. This is a shade Platinum, and it's really, really, really light. It had a pretty creamy feel to it. Nothing is standing out to me about these lipsticks so far, but I'm going to keep you updated. The color range, once again, are just really wearable colors that I think a lot of people are going to love. A lot of pinky tones, a lot of mauve tones. I'm into the color range. The packaging itself feels pretty light. I would say not expensive is the word I would use to describe the feeling, but the look looks quite expensive. Not the creamiest. I feel like there's a little bit of drag, which is what is leaving me hesitant here, but the colors are gorgeous, and if they wear fine, I'm not mad. So speed reviews, you'll hear about that. And then the very last product that I have to talk about are from Charlotte Tilbury. They are the lip blurs. So I now have two shades. We have Pillow Talk Blur and then Rose Blur, which is a little bit brighter, a little bit more fun. Pillow Talk is the more neutral one. So this one, it's nice, right? But after having these two, I don't feel the need to purchase any more. So they are kind of K-beauty-esque, but also a little bit American liquid lipstick, kind of a hybrid, because K-beauty lip blurs are quite sheer, very, very blurry, almost feel like powder on the lips. So this has a little bit more of the classic liquid lipstick kind of style that we're used to, mixed in with a little bit of K-beauty. It does add a nice blur, but I do find it does feel a bit drying still. So I think they feel much more lightweight than the old school drying liquid lipsticks. So it definitely is a step above those. It's still a little bit drying. I still feel the need to put on a lip gloss over top, which is fine. If you're going for a matte look, you kind of want it to be more drying because it's going to last longer. I like it, but I don't love it. This is not the type of formula that I'm into right now. I would say my taste at this current moment is more so cream lipsticks is my favorite medium of choice. But for being a lip blur, it's a pretty good formula. Hello from 2 weeks later. So I filmed the first part, the main part of this video, like almost 2 weeks ago, and since then a crazy amount of important launches just came out back to back. So I'm adding 5 additional products to this video, so it's 25 new items that have arrived as for, because it's been a crazy couple of weeks with launches. So since then, the Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop Blur and Smooth Tint Stick has launched. I've worn it a couple more times since my initial dedicated review on this product, and I love how malleable it is, how quick and easy it is. It's great for the summer. My only thing I have to say is after comparing it side by side with a couple other products, it sits a little bit more on top of the skin compared to some other foundations that I have. So it isn't that complete flawless skin-like look that I felt like I had when I first worn it, because there's just other foundations that I noticed sit a little bit prettier. That being said, I don't want to take away from the fact that I still think that this is a beautiful foundation stick, but just like you can see, I have the Fenty on this side and not on this side. and it just looks a little bit more smooth over here. So this one is not perfecting at all. It can sit a little bit on top of the skin, but because of how easy it is to blend, how malleable the formula is, how quick and dirty it is to apply, I still really like this, and I still think it has a place in my collection. So I'm still enjoying it, but not as much as maybe when I first initially reviewed it. And then Glossier also launched a Stretch Fluid Foundation. Now, this was supposed to launch on the Sephora website. It's online on the Sephora website, but it hasn't yet been released. But I know that's going to happen sooner than later, so I thought I'd pop this in anyway since I picked this up from the Glossier store. This is a new Stretch Fluid Foundation. Loving this so far. And so this is looking more skin-like, I would say, than the foundation from Fenty. It has a little bit more coverage, but it doesn't sit on top of the skin as much. It's a little bit more perfecting, but it still has a truly natural skin-like finish while still being quite perfecting. I've been enjoying this a lot. Not extremely long wearing, but decent enough wear time where if I prep properly, it's not that big of a deal. So I've been enjoying this a lot. I really like both, but going side by side, I think I prefer the Glossier a little bit more. It's more to my taste, but I have been reaching for, well, have been is an overstatement, but I see myself reaching for Fenty a little bit more just because it's quicker for what I need in the climate that I live in and just to run errands and stuff like that. Two concealers also launched. The Tower 28, I have been saying this is one of my favorite concealer launches of the year. It's incredible. This is the serum concealer, and it really does blend onto the skin just like serum skincare, and it looks beautiful all over the skin as a foundation, blends in like butter. The only con I would say about this is on the under eyes. It does crease a little bit sooner than a lot of my other concealers, but it doesn't look super dry, but it definitely is not the most long wearing concealer on the under eyes. But you know, I put my favorite powder over top. I don't mind going in and fixing it up a couple times throughout the day because I think the consistency and the blend of this is so beautiful, natural, and skin-like. It's very similar to the Glossier. I would say the Glossier foundation has a little bit more coverage. This has a good amount of coverage, actually. You know what? I'm tripping. It reminds me a lot of the Glossier foundation. This is a little bit more glowy than the Glossier foundation, but they both just have this really skin-like appearance. Beautiful. And then the other concealer, so much complexion, right? It's from Makeup by Mario. This is the Surreal Awakening concealer. Now this one is a little bit more snatched, a little bit more perfecting. You know, it has a drier finish, and that's going to help with longevity. It looks a little bit more perfected, more smoothing. It's just a heavier duty product. Doesn't have that hydrating serum-like feel that the Tower 28 has. They're very, very different concealers, but both are great in their own right. I'm probably reaching for the Makeup by Mario more when I'm going for a full beat, lay down, long wear, full coverage kind of deal is when you'll find me reaching for the Makeup by Mario. Both are great. I think the Tower 28's a little bit more to my preferences nowadays, but I enjoy both. But I would say I'm definitely more enthusiastic about the Tower 28, but the Makeup by Mario is still really nice. And then the last thing is a new eyeshadow palette, which is just iconic, if you ask me. This, by far, is, on my end, the most popular product that has launched that I've talked about on my channel, just based on views, purchases through links. Y'all are excited about this, and so am I. This is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. And today I wore it and I went for a more cool-toned, true nude look since there was a lot of eyeshadow barf in my initial review, so I'm going for a little bit more simple looks to see what we can do with this. So I started off with Mesh, just in the crease as that light base color. Also, it's nail day today, so I ripped off my other nails. Tender is the next shade I went into, and I didn't bring it in the outer corner at all. I just kept it above the crease to kind of create an open-eyed look. So I did that to add a little bit more depth. And then all I did to finish off was take Mia, which is one of the new wet formulas, and put it all over my eyelid. I have a little bit of black eyeshadow from Natasha Denona, not from the palette, working as my liner. And that's how I got today's look. Very simple. I'm loving this palette. I think it's a bit restrictive in some of the looks that you can do. I just feel like I needed some more dark matte colors in here for true versatility, but if you like the colors in here, you're going to love this. Quality is chef's kiss. It's a phenomenal Natasha Denona launch, truly, even though there's some things that I could say could improve the palette. That doesn't take away from the great quality, and even then, a lot of the colors still have their place in here. They still make a lot of sense, so I'm still loving this. This is, I don't know if it's my #1 favorite palette that's launched this year, but it definitely is in the top 5. It's a phenomenal launch. I definitely recommend it. So yeah, okay, back to the past. And there we have it, you guys. Those are 20 of some of the newest items available at Sephora, as well as my thoughts and first impressions on them. If you've tried any of these items, let me know down below. If there are any new exciting items at Sephora that I missed out on, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll go back and pick some up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.